our vision pans down through a field of stars until it comes to rest on the pale blue sphere of Hesperion. It is a planet orbited by a number of light frigates and cruisers. These vessels were once part of what was known as the Alderaan Flotilla, a convoy for Alderanian refugees from a war a long time ago. Now they hang silently in space, in vigil, guarding a vast space station, ironically built from the scraps and shattered remains of the first Death Star. This space station, once delivering fear and destruction, now it serves as a primary signal station for the galactic HoloNet, bringing information and communication to the galaxy at large. Within this network, we hear voices and see messages and reports filtering through endlessly. And throughout the countless amounts of comms that pass to and from the signal station, a number of stories have emerged regarding mysterious figures. Thule. What message can be heard first? And what story does it tell?
Ooh. Did it, 1 second. So it's the, we're receiving a transmission. Is that right? I'm sorry.
No, so this transmission essentially is telling of a rumor or a story connected with these mysterious figures that have appeared in the galaxy and appear to be helping people or whatever. Basically, rumors and stories about what you, the Jedi, have been up to in your secret ways, that sort of thing.
Stories of mysterious power is heard. Some say it's the Jedi. The Jedi have returned to the galaxy. Some say the Emperor. Some say a new force from beyond the galaxy's edge has come forth. But all are unclear about its intentions or its goals. If this means that the galaxy will once again fall under a new tyranny.
And as these transmissions echo far deep into space, they cross with another one of another story that could be heard. Kai, what news does this message bring?
A mine on like a distant planet that's been mining spice. It's like run by slaves. There's been an uprising there, and the people have like thrown off their chains and they escaped basically, and it was found with only the slavers left there in chains.
Perfect. And as news of this echoes through the galaxy, it crosses with another story. Rannan, what do we hear next?
Of a pleasure barge on Melosi 4 that held a meeting for dignitaries and representatives involved in shady dealings, and the authorities were alerted to quite publicly a bunch of bound bureaucrats who had been involved in conspiration and corruption, and word of their deeds and bribes placed there with them for the police or for the policing forces, unignorably. Not very many, but their power and wealth and reach are telling of stain of coordinated crime in the known galaxy.
And as pockets of resistance against corruption and defeats of slavers and evil doing sort of echo throughout the galaxy, we hear one final report from Beza.
It's a report from the planet of Cantonica, where the casino city of Canto Bight lives. And curiously, the RSB, Republic Security Bureau, was found a data card that had a holographic video and a table full of arms dealers sharing their deals and a few cash locations. And the only evidence as to who might have dropped it off is a single voice figure does not appear in the hologram.
And while we're on you, Beza, would you mind rolling me a d4, please?
I don't have a D4.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's out of 1 and 4. All right, roll a d6, and if it's 5 or 6, roll again. Sorry.
2.
Beza. Okay. Right, you're triumphantly looking at this this hollow video evidence. You're looking upon your hard work and all that you've done to make a difference within the galaxy. Suddenly, everything around you, Beza, is silent. And you do not feel like you are standing upon the lush carpets of Canto Bight, nor the firm earth of Tython. You are standing in complete darkness. The darkness that shrouded your visions when you connected to the Nexus planet for the first time. Can you roll perception for me, please?
Yes. Where's perception? Hang on. Is that, do we have, just straight perception?
That's right, yes, please.
$18.
18. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so your eyes begin to adjust within the darkness, and slowly but surely you begin to see specks of light before you, stars. For a moment, you feel like you're in open space, but you remember your training and become mindful of the hard metal floor beneath you. Or is it metal? You glance around to discover you are on a giant observation platform. Your surroundings are seamlessly made from a material between durasteel and black bone. And before you, a vast window to the galaxy. All of the galaxy. You can see every spiral and cluster and burning sun. It is like you're looking into a snow globe or staring at a swirl of stained leaves in the depths of an old teapot. Beza, I want you to tell me how you move out of the way as a crimson lightsaber activates behind you and swings for your head.
She doesn't move out of the way so much as she ducks. It's that feeling the hair standing up on the back of your neck the distinctive sound of a lightsaber. And she ducks, and as she does so, she turns to see who wields it.
This crimson blade sounds as aggressive as the attack that it was dealing, narrowly missing you. You see a silhouette standing before you, advancing. Their features you cannot ascertain, for this being appears to be made of swirling shadow. But one thing is true in your heart, one thing you are certain of: you are facing a wielder of the dark side. The perception roll that you made was to ascertain your initiative. We are going to have a duel, Beza. The Sith before you seems to give one gloating look at you before striking again at your defenses. So this will be at your parry, unless you choose to dodge, whichever one you prefer. But this is, as we say, a duel, so we roll off, and whoever succeeds and gets the highest total earns a duel point.
Okay, so I'm rolling parry?
Yeah,
Parry is a
apologies.
static
So
number.
you're rolling whatever is best to defend yourself, whatever skill or weapon you can narratively explain away. Yeah.
Oh, crap. 15.
You stagger, barely able to block the blow, your purple saber activating just in time to deflect the attack. This figure is walking you down, striking with every step. The two of you are silhouetted, the galaxy framed behind you as two legendary weapons strike again and again, casting sparks and light across this colossal room. It is your turn.
What do I sense from this person?
You sense the overwhelming nature of the dark side. You sense an intent not to kill you, but to break you completely and to make you realize the error of your foolish ways.
Beza would, I guess, push back and seeking to throw the opponent, the Sith Lord, off balance. So I'll push back with the lightsaber, and perhaps also ask, "Who are you?"
Yeah, so make your attack first then, and I'll oppose.
15 again.
Yep, you charge at him, screaming, "Who are you?" Bringing the purple saber down at him. The Sith is able to bring the crimson saber up to meet yours and deflects the blow seemingly with ease, sidestepping you and allowing you to stagger forward. He then presses forward and locks his blade into yours. There is a screeching as your lightsabers lock together, and you can see just through writhing shadow some form of a mask. And within the reflection of a visor, you can see your face reflected in it. I am power, and with it, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free. And he pushes you away once again, this time reaching out with a black gauntleted hand, and he calls upon the power of the dark side and throws a force push towards you. And oppose this with whatever force. This would actually be opposed by Alter. So if you want to give that a go.
Okay. That's with Alter. 14.
You are able to keep your feet. How does Beza resist the this insurmountable push of energy.
It is a method that she has practiced against with Kai. And she braces herself as she would in their training, calling upon both the muscle memory and the force.
Like a pillar, like a mountain, everything moves around you and you remain firm and unmoving. It is your turn.
Beza remembers something which Ranan has worked with her on, and she will reach her out her arm and throw it to the side, seeking to cast aside the lightsaber of the Sith. That's an altar, right?
Yeah, so if you're using the force to try and pull his saber out of his hand, of course. Yeah.
Also, I have no idea who's winning which one, so you're gonna have to.
No, that's fine. I'm making notes of it. Don't worry, Taylor. You just focus on your rolls.
Oh, I got a 6 on my destiny die.
Oh, excellent.
And only 13 total, but 6 on the destiny.
Yeah, so it isn't successful, so you aren't able to take the lightsaber from him, but what's some advantage that you gain from wrenching his arm to the side?
I think it takes him a little longer to recover. Perhaps he has one less die for his next attack.
Yeah, perfect. And his next attack comes with fury and rage, realizing what you had meant to do. He brings his lightsaber, crimson as blood, above his head, and with a single step closes the distance between you and brings it down with one less die. What was your defensive total? Sorry. What was the roll that you made to defend that?
19. I got you math.
You know, that's actually perfect because he gets a 19 too. So once again, your sabers lock. This time he's pressing down upon your defenses. Again, you just see the glimpse of a mask through this shroud of shadow. And as he pushes the blade closer and closer to you, he says, "And so we confront the great lie together. You may stand against me, as the circle has foretold, but even the power of all Jedi will not resist the choice, the only choice that matters." And he pushes your blade aside and swings, just catching your arm as you gasp awake. You are in darkness still, but it is familiar. You are within your quarters in the temple on Tython. And you aren't actually in bed at this point. You are stood in your room, your purple blade still in your hand. About you, furniture lies twisted and cut in half from many saber strikes. Adrenaline is still pounding in your head.
Beza's eyes begin to adjust to this reality. She turns off her saber. And her mind is racing. Who was that? Why? What? She'll quickly leave her quarters and go to the next room over and knock once at Ranan's door.
The door will open and Ranan's seated at a plasteel stool in the center of a Spartan chamber.
Did you feel that?
If
Yeah,
everyone...
I think the look.
Sorry, I was just about to say, if anyone, because I think all of you would have had an opportunity to sense that. If you all make sense checks, please. But I mean, if you're right next to each other, likely Rhiannon would have heard.
I got a 1 on the force die, but I got 15 all up for my sense.
Perfect. So with that 1 on the destiny die, you sensed most of the darkness from that, not so much of Beza's heroic defense.
Yeah, I think the look that Rhiannon gives you is like she doesn't say anything or nod, but it's obvious that she did, and she's probably mentally grappling with the same sentiments that you spoke about. Come, and she'll rise from her stool and she'll go over to some apparatus and produce some like warm beverage and like place down in front of Beza. Are you all right?
Beza will touch her arm where the Sith saber blade had cut into it.
Yeah, it's only as the adrenaline is coming down that you notice the pain in your arm. You look and see that there is a shard cut through the clothing that you wear into bed, and you see that there is a burn upon your left shoulder.
She like pulls the sleeve up to show it to Rhiannon. I don't know.
Are we on Tython currently?
That's right, yes.
A shift in the planet, perhaps.
This was
Or
not
something from beyond. Sorry?
This was not here. I was not here.
We know from being on Tython that doesn't really matter anymore. And the Sith have been striking from the dark and from afar long before we have. You should speak to the others of this and seek the counsel of Master Thul.
Yes. Will you come with me?
Yeah, she'll nod and support you to find the others.
Once Thul and Kai are there, Beza would relay to the three of them her encounter with a Sith. It could be no other.
The same was said of us, but the Jedi and the Sith are linked. I'll look to Thul at that talk of balance and intoning nature.
Thul sits silently. Perhaps we have made a mistake. Perhaps they know of our presence. Perhaps they have returned. I have long thought of our forays beyond Typhon in these last few weeks. If this truly is the will of the Force that we conduct, if we are moving in the right path, I do not know. Maybe the Force does reach out to correct us.
There are other Force traditions. Surely. I know at least of witches on Dathomir. But there must be, in the galaxy, countless more. Perhaps somewhere there.
If it is a correction, and there's a harsh one, Beza says, rubbing gingerly at the bandage over the burn.
There can be no more traveling alone. If this is true, and the Sith have returned, even one, then we must stay together.
Beza drops her eyes. I was outmatched.
The dark side is a powerful thing. It's always been thus.
Can we determine the current, I don't know, shade for lack of a better word, of the planet and where it sits in regards to, like, if it's leaning more to the dark side or the light side, or?
I imagine this is a thing that perhaps borders on obsession for Thul, the monitoring of
Certainly does.
Tython and its harmony. So I can say you've been keeping close track on this. And since your initial shifting of the planet's focus, things have been ominous, but not entirely dark. But this does indeed fill you with dark contemplations, whether because you're just hearing this, and it's convenient that Tython feels this way, or you don't know whether this is connected to the planet or not. But it seems perhaps it could be.
And what was our initial, like when we first arrived? I think back to when we first arrived on Tython and where it sat. Did it sit in complete balance?
That's right, harmony.
It could be that they have sensed Tython. That we send out a message beyond this planet and across the galaxy. We must be wary in using it until we are sure of our enemy.
We should crush them immediately.
Where would you find them?
He'll close his eyes and send the image of the nexus that we have here, that we can find anyone in the galaxy. I think a Force user even more easily. For too long, the Jedi Council let the Emperor build up and take control of the Senate and of planets. Cannot let that happen. The Sith have they won't stop at anything. Pull them out, root and stem, now.
How do we know it's the Sith? It could just be the form of her fears.
That is what I believe it is. It does not feel like the Sith to reveal themselves in this way. I feel it is a disturbance within the planet, but until we are sure, we must assume many possibilities. And if it should come to be that the Sith have returned, I agree. They should be destroyed thoroughly.
Beza is uncharacteristically agitated. It was not my fears that caused me to destroy my room in my sleep, and it was not my fears which burned my arm.
The Force does manifest that way sometimes.
Indeed. You are certain, Baser? Like, do you truly believe unequivocally this is some projected sentient Sith come to you in your dreams to fight you?
I thought so.
There's no shame in fear. We all have fear.
We'll share it.
But perhaps here the Force is still stronger and must be better understood. She'll look to Thule. Perhaps you would have the best guess of all.
Of all things we have encountered such far, it is a mystery. But we must look for Dari. Where is she?
I'll turn around and call out to Alexi to have Dari come to us quickly.
It's quicker than you could have guessed. You sense a presence, perhaps eavesdropping from a room not far down the corridor.
Yeah, when she makes her appearance. Dari, have you sensed something? A disturbance?
She makes a feigned yawn. It doesn't trick any of you. I sensed something. Conflict. Are you all right? She takes a look at all of your expressions.
How have your dreams been of late?
She opens her mouth as if to speak and then stops. Instinctively, her eyes for a second drift to Rannon before she says, I have very few dreams. Can everyone make a sense check, please?
Oh, come on. We know she's lying.
It's not an all-out lie.
18.
Yeah, Rannon.
Rannon.
A sense check? Oh, big can.
You got a 17.
But
Good.
one on the destiny die.
Yeah, I think all of you would probably see a cave that Dari is trapped within, with 3 other people, one of them pinned beneath a rock, desperately calling for aid, but Dari refusing them to keep the others alive. Only 16 hours of oxygen, you hear a voice echo. She's clearly been dreaming of the lessons that she's been hard at work at and still hasn't come up with an answer. But she's getting there, you reckon?
But nothing that would give the...
Nothing like Baser's dream, it seems.
No, like dark...
Not so focused narrative, yeah.
No, nothing of that so much, no.
I look to the others then. And you? Have you dreamt of anything like this?
Yeah, I shake my head.
Yeah, I shake my head as well.
It has not happened before.
Lucky that it was you and not Dari.
Let us try and renew the sense of balance in this place. It was my impression that we were doing good. I know that we are doing good, but perhaps that's not coming across to the planet. If there's some way that we can try and restore balance here, or failing that, simply increase the protection that we have here.
What about the Nexus? Should we use it to be confident, or to decide if it's a figment of fear or a dark agent of the Sith? Our way, we all agreed, is confrontation.
Beza will sit down at the table and look to the three of you, and briefly to Dari, but mostly to the three of you. If it would help, my mind is open. You may search it to better understand.
Perhaps it should be you, Beza, who does. Your force with this, your pull with this, whatever it is, will be stronger than ours.
Have we used the Nexus for introspection before? Instead of out,
No, I don't think so. Kai would be concerned that it might explode someone, you know?
Off the planet.
Yeah, but also the sheer energies involved might not be fit for a mortal body.
It's difficult to tell. You've never used it for that, but you do know it is. It does have immense power, but you've never tried. So,
All the words that this figment, this phantom, said to you, Beza. You mentioned that it spoke to you before you fought.
Yes.
What were its words, Rob?
The council? Did it say the
Something
council?
about
yeah,
power.
you took the words right out of my mouth. Here they are.
It spoke of a council, I think. The circle.
Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall set me free.
I think that's a mantra. I've heard that
That
before
sounds like a
somewhere
dark side
else.
mantra. Yeah.
But this second stanza is more focused, even though it's more lyric, and so we confront the great lie together. You may stand against me as the circle has foretold, but even the power of the Jedi will not resist the choice, the only choice that matters. That makes me feel less likely that it's the spasms of planetary force influencing her dreams, and more a projection. That's
It feels
very
more targeted.
It's not dreamy, hey?
Yeah.
That second line. The first one I can imagine being dreamy because it's mantric, but yeah. That makes me uneasy. That makes me even more certain that we should use the Nexus to project back and find. Unless that's what they want us to do, of course.
Yeah, give our location away.
If we don't react to this, do nothing, that suits them as well. So we're kind of in a tricky situation strategically.
Yep.
They probably want us to do one of the choices we're about to make, right? Even if it's all stay together, or if it's do this or do that.
Yeah.
But if we do nothing, it's not so. That goes against our core beliefs. Painstakingly synthesized.
Rob, I have a grammatical question. If
Yes.
this wasn't English, would it be plural you or singular you? You may stand against me.
Who knows? It might be directed at you personally, Beza.
If we were playing this session in Spanish,
Oh, we're not.
oh, come on.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, Beza would say, it is possible they are not aware of the rest of you.
possible? How did they find you?
Python is not the only force planet in the galaxy. There are other places strong with it.
But how is it they found Beza and not the rest of us? And why Beza and not the rest of us?
And why target her with this cryptic missive?
If there's anyone who has dark side leanings, and I don't mean this pejoratively, it would be me or Rana.
I was thinking the same. If you're a Sith and a Master, who are you going to corrupt?
Why not go for an easier target?
It was not corruption that they sought. She goes back to that feeling, and she tries to project it to the rest of you. The feeling that it was a destruction so complete that the only way to be rebuilt was by the Sith. That was what they wanted.
Did you say you were projecting these thoughts to the rest, Beza?
Yes. Not Dari.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's
grown
just
up enough to handle it.
Sure, that's fine. And you allow the others to glimpse within. No sense check would be required, as they would just allow you to project this image, I imagine. But the rest of you can see into Beza's mind. You see into the depths of this nightmare made real, and you see this vast observation platform in which the duel took place. Noting really that it acts merely as a frame for the galaxy that you can see in its entirety from.
Grandiose ideas of galactic conquest are very much the tools of the Sith. And to frame this fight in such a place feels deliberate, and it feels Sith-like, to me at least. They have a flair for the dramatic that the Jedi maybe do not have. And their ego demands that they do as much.
Is there anything further you'd wish to discuss about this?
Kai would be keen to look into the Nexus and see if we can sense something, if we can be careful, and this would be Thul's modus operandi, but I think he would know maybe how to sort of like a wizard would use wards and stuff, or firewalls, something so that a direct contact won't be made, sort of thing. And he would ask Thul about that stuff because he would know better. But to probe and see if we can find some sense of the dark side in the galaxy.
Yeah, I think of the ancient teachings of actually the Sith, of force suppression, but doing that simultaneously wielding the power of the Nexus. It may be impossible or just beyond our ability.
Thul, give me a sense check, Thul, as we've said that you're the one that's kind of been investigating the planet in most depth.
15, 17.
It's enough for you to know that your presence here, the more that you've dwelt upon this planet, the greater the attunement between you and it becomes. you're confident that you could all provide yourselves with protection to glimpse into the Nexus, but as you rightly say, such things are risky.
We must act. I agree with Kai. Let us use the Nexus.
Oh, we should spend some time beforehand cleansing ourselves emotionally. And we must ensure that Diary is not present in case we do make contact with something and it contacts her.
But I want to help, she says suddenly.
I know that you want to help, but this is dangerous. We're trying to protect you.
She gives you a stare that would kill 1,000 people.
Someday you'll be able to help in the way that we need, but for now, it's too dangerous.
Wordlessly, she just sulks her way out of the room.
That will be a problem.
It comes with beginning tutelage late in life.
I was no different, I think.
Renan nods.
And she will come anyway to try to help.
Yeah, to tell a youth that they can't do something too dangerous or beyond them is a sure way to get them to commit to doing it.
Yep.
Beza kind of looks at Renan. Perhaps it should be impressed upon her the dire consequences if she were to interrupt.
Renan will give you that uneasy-looking smile that she sometimes breaks from beneath the blindfold and still say, very well, if you're volunteering.
Encourage her further.
I'll speak to her if you wish. But how can we be sure that she should not be present?
How
To hide her from the threat?
How could we be sure that she should?
My point is that we can't be sure.
I think we can agree that the danger is significant if she is there.
Have we gauged her ability with the Force, and like, is she stronger or weaker in certain areas now that we've been training her for a while?
You notice that she was physically very adept before you even met her in terms of combat ability with heightened instincts. She had a rudimentary grasp on things like lifting things into the air and crushing the comlink, as Kai saw aboard the Edict. Really, she progresses quickly with external usages of the Force, but not so much emotionally or mentally.
Right, which is exactly why Kai is pushing for her not to be there, because that's the most dangerous combination, is that she is like physically quite capable, but emotionally like not ready at all for like an attack by a Sith Lord. I mean, if we're not ready for it, and you never will be, but she's nowhere near there. And if she's physically adept, then that makes it more dangerous.
And she must quiet her mind and seek balance. We make a connection with another Force user, it may spill out and affect her.
So she should be far from us.
Does this not plan?
I'm wary to drive her from us. If we offend her or these emotions intensify, she may become easy prey for the Sith.
We haven't showed her the Nexus or explained it to her, or
No.
Nope.
For the reason that she is not ready. She can't control her emotions. And if she got it into her head that she firstly wanted to help us, or secondly, more dangerously, wished to contact the Chiss, or... I know that she is our student, but we cannot forget.
Then perhaps she should continue her training off this planet. It is more important than her.
Where would we bring her?
He would just shake his head at that.
We could go to some backwater in wild space, train her there, and leave Tython. One of the things that is so useful about this planet is that it's secure. But if it is not secure from Force users, then it loses some appeal.
The fears of using the Nexus flood back into to Full's mind as if lighting a galactical beacon that can be heard by all Force users across space and time.
So, is your intention to go to the Nexus, or do you wish to have a conversation with Dari first? And if so, who goes?
Do we have information about the Nexus and how it was intended to be used?
Only from what you've able to decipher from ancient legend and your own work. Really, it is a focusing point of the Force. It is a point of balance. To say that it has a use is quite difficult. It can be used for many things. It is a font of power, and a font of insight for certain. Like many things with the Force, it's how you use it.
If we leave the Nexus, what if it is co-opted, overtaken by someone else?
We should restore the planet to balance and see if the attacks continue.
And how do we do that?
What I suspect would use the Nexus to do that? Shift it? I don't know.
Apologies, what was the question?
We're trying to, you said that it's basically shifted towards a more ominous kind of hue towards the dark side, the planet. So how do we shift it back to balance?
Well, last time it was shifted, it was through your union within the focusing chamber, and due to your influence, all of your influences, it's slightly shifted. So you imagine, due to your influence, you might be able to shift it back.
That's how then.
Then let's try. Do we want to speak with Dari? Do you want me to do it? Perhaps it will come better from someone more wise.
Rannon, you seem to have a special rapport with the girl.
If you think it best, I'll go.
Well, if there's no objection, then Voss, you can go and look for Dari. Doesn't take you long either. You sense her presence at the very base of the temple. Stepping out into the night air, you stand upon the top of the stairs, looking down at Tython, and you sense its beauty, and you feel nature all around you. Dari is at the bottom of the stairs, sat on a rock, throwing rocks into one of the waterfalls that pour down past where the temple sits.
Ronan will walk up beside her and then kneel down next to her, looking out at the same vista.
Yeah, she is staring into the water as it cascades down into nothingness. Such is the drop. And yeah, she says, "I think I've solved it."
Ronan will look down to the water and wait to hear.
Miners. You said I would be trapped down there with only enough oxygen to save the three of us. And one of them is wounded. I've been trying to think of what the answer is, but I only find myself thinking of more questions. I think you sought to see if an emotional choice, a difficult choice, would sway my concentration, and it did. But the questions I have now: how am I supposed to embrace my feelings if me feeling pressure or me feeling pity or anything? How am I supposed to trust my feelings if that is my undoing?
I don't have the answer to that.
Then what is the answer? That I slay the wounded? Because that's what came to me first, Ran, and I will not lie. I come from a severe place.
If I tell you, you won't learn for yourself.
She just continues to stare at the water for a moment.
And it's not until you discover the answer that you will be kept from the greater secrets of our order. You come from a severe place. That changes how someone makes decisions, I know.
Did we lose Rob?
Might have.
We'll be back
Oh,
in a
Lloyd
second.
lost Lloyd.
So after some technical difficulties, the conversation between Rannan and Dari continues.
Until you can answer that riddle, Dari, you will not partake in the higher mysteries of our order. You should think on this and search your feelings. Continue your training.
She turns with a look of outrage spreading across her face before she gives herself a moment's pause, a second to breathe, and bites her tongue. I understand, she says quietly and neutrally as possible.
Do you? Then explain it to me.
She looks infuriated. I understand that this is where I have no strength, she says. I have physical discipline, but I have no... she's struggling for the words. I have no control of how I feel when I use the Force. If trusting my feelings is the key to stepping into these higher mysteries, this will be a challenge indeed, she says.
It will take time and require patience.
Why a cave? She says, looking at you. Why that situation? It seems so specific.
Rannan thinks back to the mining colony home she was ripped from by the Knights of Ren, and of huddling in a cave.
Do you allow her to sense this, or do you block it?
No, I'll see if she can sense it.
She'll certainly try. If you oppose it, Nico, then just roll some sense, or that's up to
I
you.
won't oppose it, you know what I mean? But I don't want it to be easy and complete for her.
Okay, so how many die do you have in sense?
2.
Okay.
Oh well, 5 with my force die.
Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, right. That's fine.
So I'll just roll it and then half it. So I got 15 and 6, 21.
Okay.
So 10 or 11.
Yeah, she's able to see fleeting glimpses of what you allow of this this cave, and she actually sees it in actuality, not the cave that she's dreamt of from your descriptions. Her eyes widening, and she turns and looks to you with all haughtiness and annoyance has dropped from her expression as she beholds you now. This happened to you?
No, she says, but it happens.
I see. I will try harder, Rannan, I promise.
Imagine you were in the cave and what those people's lives mean to them and what yours means to you. We'll continue your training tomorrow. She'll get up and leave her at the watery vista and go back to tell the council.
Before you go, Rannan, as you reach like the entryway,
She'll turn to her and look at her unseeing.
the Nexus. Is that what you're going to use now?
She nods. Your senses serve you well.
And my ears. She smiles. Where do you want me to go?
Master Thul spoke of the histories of this planet at the Violet Fens. Beyond, there is a stretch ended by another old temple of the Order. It was there that Padawans in the Ilk of Old would craft their Jedi weapons. And there may be lore that could be learnt there, or trinkets from the past to uncover. but the way there is not without peril. So think less upon what we do and more upon your lessons and your surroundings.
A mission, she grins happily. Now that's something I can understand. She gets up. I'll go at once.
Yeah, through Rannon's view, like obviously she has no eyes, so can't like squint or level her eyes at the youth as she goes off. But those words are unsettling. The mission, that's something I can do. And she wonders on that, and like from her vision, all the shades of the Force hue and darken and sour. And eventually she'll regain control of her composure and go back to tell the council what's happened.
Yeah, so you all meet within the focusing chamber once again. Vast glass focusing sculptures hang above you. There are grooves of carvings and artistry that surround you as you stand, the four of you at the center, looking at where you can access the core of this planet.
Dari is now about her missives. Let us turn our attention to rebalancing Tython. Rana will say as she walks into the chamber.
Let's try.
Very well. Well, last time, as you may remember, we all did a combined sense check for all of you to attune as one to the planet. Last time you spent Destiny die to double the die to do so. So if you wish to do that now, please feel free. We shall combine our results.
Okey-doke. I will do that.
Perfect. Yeah, anyone who wants to do it, go ahead. So I'm not very good at maths, but that is enough for me to understand that you are successful in this endeavor. Thule, as the one most concerned with the, I say most concerned, that's unfair, but the one that is at one with nature, what is it like as the four of you tap into this strange power once again and you feel the heart of the planet?
Yeah, we're more adept at it. Spending time here has given us all a better understanding of this place. And when we extend the Force beyond these old stones and to the planet, we sense its life. We sense its death, and we sense the ever-changing and flowing cycle of the Force. As the planet turns and bends to our will.
And again, you are reminded ever more apparently that this planet is indeed an entity unto itself and seems to brim with a life of its own. All Nexus planets seem to, or at least the two that you've been on have anyway. You were able to attune Tython across the spectrum of the Force. I know it's a bit up in the air and it's hard to describe, but on what side or point of the spectrum do you move the planet to? Is it to the center?
Yes.
Kai, what do you think you experience as all of you are connected to this planet? What do you think you see in the planet becoming balanced in this way?
It's like a million different images, like from all around the planet that he can see. And I don't know what spectrum it was on before. It was kind of leaning towards light, right? Because we were here.
No, slightly dark actually.
Oh, okay. So then maybe it's sort of scenes of like you can see like dozens of animals in different places, just barely escaping when previously that had not been the case, or rather that he had seen. He spent a lot of time in the wilds, like animals attacking but not eating or feeding, and that seems to stop. And then also he can see that like some of the fouler things that are growing are replaced by like new growth of things that are less toxic or hateful, just all over the planet, like things spreading and changing. Maybe they're here for like days, but it seems to all happen at once, like in those documentaries where they speed up the plants so you can see it all happening at once. It sort of looks like that, all at the same time.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love that idea. And like a chain of dominoes, one thing affecting the other, the planet, imperceptibly to most living creatures, but not to you, shifts within the balance of the force to pure harmony, hanging there within the force and within you. The power of the Nexus is now at your disposal.
We should search. If there are Sith.
Ronan nods.
My mind shifts to Beza. We shall focus our circle. We shall concentrate on your image, your dream, whatever it was, the attack.
Beza will nod, and opening her mind, she will begin to replay that dream as it appears, focusing in on the figure, the voice, the feeling, the crimson lightsaber glowing in the darkness.
After further technical difficulties, we make the checks then to see if you want to hunt down this Sith or find out any other information. Is that what you want to do first? See if you can locate?
We want to
Mhm.
try and just locate roughly, or just sense if there's like a strong dark side user that we can sense.
There is a strong feeling of the dark side. For a specific location, it will require another full sense from all of you to get an actual bearing on it. So feel free to spend force points for another sense check. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
I rolled really, really
That's
well.
amazing. Yeah, okay.
'Cause I used my force point, one of my force points for that. I rolled pretty darn well.
Yep, you find them. Yes, so we'll talk about that force die in a moment, Kai, because that's a 6 on the force die. Beza, first off, your vision returns to, or rather, the feeling about you returns to you feeling like you're in open space, as you had done at the beginning of that vision before, or that experience before. And once again, you see, framed in the window of this vast observation platform, all of the galaxy. And this is the vital clue, because you are sensing from beyond the known galaxy at this point. The dark forces that have come to bear against you this evening are outside of the realms of the galaxy. You see a vast ship, the likes you have never seen before, moving like a colossal beast through the void of space. Its shadow touches everything that it moves past. It appears to eclipse suns as it passes by. This vast, round ship. At first glance, it looks to be made of some kind of black geosteel, but the closer inspection that you had before in your vision, Beza, was that it almost felt like it was made of an alloy between metal and bone. And you sense this huge vessel moving through the gulf of the unknown regions. Beyond the unknown region, sorry.
So way out then.
Way out to see the whole galaxy, for sure.
And
So-
that's where the dark side is coming from, is from that vessel?
100%.
So outside our galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a almost like a force projection zoom in as Beza like connects with the other three, and will like show them that image of it being far beyond where we are, farther than she has ever considered.
And it's not it doesn't look like an Empire ship. It's got bone.
It does not look like an Empire ship at all. It is just a vast, round vessel. Let's see if I can find a picture for you. But in the meantime, yeah, just this colossal vessel. To put it into Star Wars terms, probably about the size of a Death Star, though. Don't think it's a Death Star. It's not a Death Star, but we're talking that size.
And that's where, I mean, the sense of connection that Beza feels related to this.
Say that again, sorry, Lloyd.
the sense of connection that Beza feels is connected to this ship?
Very much so. Whatever vision that Beza would have had, the vision took place aboard the ship.
The Grisk? He'll ask. Is this their technology?
It would explain why they just want to use the Force.
Are the Grisk Force sensitive?
Beza will kind of shrug. I don't know anyone who's met one.
They must be if this is where the Nexus took us.
Or they have taken Force users.
Not from the chest, though.
No.
You may know someone that's seen a Grisk before.
Yeah. And there's no sense that it senses us.
Oh, I didn't say that, Lloyd.
Okay. You didn't say it, which is why I assumed that. Yeah, that's troubling.
Let's invade their dreams.
If they're weird aliens, then we don't want to.
Is it just a ship? Are we sensing that the ship is alive?
It appears to brim with some kind of natural energy completely unfamiliar to you. But there's no sense of it betraying your location. This is the thing. It's not like you've been spotted in a part of the galaxy. It's almost like your consciousness base was found rather than openly spotted on a map, if that makes sense.
Yeah. She'll kind of relay that. I don't think they know where we are.
Still gazing at this vessel, you can just watch it as it silently maneuvers through the void of space, and perhaps it catches some streams of light of some far-off burning star. But it has very much a natural look to it, and you can see from its size there appear to be spiraling rock-like bones and jutting not fins but wings almost on its side, spiral in a sort of spiral pattern.
Do we have, like,
Just
with
kidding.
my knowledge of like xenology, would I know anything about, maybe not this particular, but creatures that are so like colossal and mammoth that I guess I'm trying to compare its physiology or its like anatomy to something that another, like, star traveler.
This is unlike anything you've ever seen. There is no equal known in the galaxy that you reside in. This is very much an alien structure vessel on its approach.
It looks like some combination of technology and life.
Yes.
How?
All is possible with the Force. Is that not what Master Ray has taught us?
If the sense of the dark side comes from this, then it's our enemy.
Are we sensing the dark side? A clear signal that this radiates with the dark side of the Force?
The vision, or rather following the sense of the vision, absolutely, you get the sense that the dark side led you to see this. That's where this vision has projected from, for sure. And it's I mean, it's all the more terrifying because while we have learned of there being and you will likely know of times when powerful Force users have been able to project themselves across the galaxy, it isn't something that's done lightly. So we're talking about an immense power on the other end as well.
We're probably too far away to like do anything. Right?
With the Force, nothing is impossible.
If it's as big as a Death Star, I don't know that. Like, if nothing's impossible with the Force, why didn't Yoda just blow up the Death Star? You know? I feel like there are some things that are maybe not impossible, but extremely difficult.
Definitely, I agree.
Thing is almost the size of a planet. If it's as big as a Death Star.
Is it sentient, or is it a sentient creature on it using it to project like we do with the Nexus?
I was about to ask that if it's sentient.
Yeah, your initial sensing from it is that it does display some kind of like it is a form of an organism. Like there's life about it for certain.
But is there sentience? Like, that's what I'm trying to determine. Is there a pilot?
Oh, I see. That you're not sure of.
Beza, can you sense the quarry from your dream within this world? Gesturing at like the thing.
Can I? I rolled a 46.
Can you what? Sorry.
Can I sense the person, the entity, the Sith from my dream within that?
You can only sense the dark side. You cannot sense an actual entity, a specific entity. You cannot.
Yeah, Beza would shake her head.
Have we ever heard of like the Force becoming physical? And like the Andals of the history of the Force?
Let's find out. Let's do I don't know if there is a Force history check, is there? So I mean, what am I talking about? You've connected to all Jedi that have ever existed. I imagine that might just be enough. Give us a sense check and pose that question.
$25.
From old scripts that you might have actually learned from Rey herself, actually, regarding the birth of a certain Anakin Skywalker. While never confirmed, it was highly it was a theory that he was born as a manifestation of the Force, but you don't know if that is relevant to this particular thing that you're facing. But there has been life born from the Force before, arguably.
Yeah, let this theory wash over the others that this may be just a concentrated concentrated nexus, I don't know, lack of a better word, of the dark side.
I mean, basically, with your suspicions are fairly on the money. I mean, you do highly suspect that this might be linked with what the Chiss have been talking about regarding an outside threat. The far outsiders was what they mentioned to them. The thing that was sending Grisk desperately at the lines of the Chiss because everything that has seen this coming has been trying to get away from it. So there is a link here.
If the case is that the Chiss are running from this, and the Grisk are running from this, then we will have to run from it too. Or we can gather all of us and try and face it. Whatever it is. Is it moving? I mean, I guess you can't tell in space which direction it's going, but I guess it's moving towards our galaxy.
Sorry, yes. Yes, it absolutely is moving towards the galaxy, certainly.
Do we sense its capacity and of the amount of dark side that this thing emanates? Like, as if it's so massive that we pale in its comparison?
It's really difficult to tell. The ambiguity of the source of the dark side coming from this thing is probably the thing that concerns you the most. It's almost like the vessel itself is defensively shielded with the dark side.
Yeah, well, that's not good. That it may be deliberately, like, its power is indeterminate then, and that it's suppressed. A force, a force power that's mainly found amongst the Sith or Dark Force users.
We need to gather the Chiss Command and the Republic. Speak about this. If there's a way to contact the Grisk, even, maybe Dari will know. This is... The Death Star had the power to destroy planets. We don't know. This is a Force creation. It could easily have that power.
Agreed. And it is not something we can face on our own.
And the quicker we can gather a response of some kind, the better.
And will conventional weapons be any use against such a thing?
There are plenty of use against the Jedi. He'll say, and I guess there'll be like a flash of Jedi being like shot down by like clone troopers all over the galaxy, and by Mandalorians in the Mandalorian War, and that's in the Jedi memory for sure.
Definitely, absolutely. Yep. So coming away from this, then you've learned that there is this massive vessel encroaching upon the borders of the galaxy. While it emanates the dark side, you cannot, or you have not been able to pierce through its defensive shell to view within.
Can we attempt to do that to confront this figment?
Yeah, absolutely. If you wish to do that, and if you want to do that with another force die, you get force die equal to your force points. So however many you have in force, that's however many force die you can spend.
I'll use that for this roll then.
Yeah.
July, I haven't used it yet. 10, 6, 16, 3, 19 times 2, 38.
And Beza and Thule, are you contributing to that as well? Sorry, 24.
Yes, just doing math. 18.
Yeah, no, I'm adding it all up. Don't worry, it's all good. So with a whopping shared 98, you are able to glimpse aboard the vessel. And the moment you all do, it's hard to describe what mental anguish feels like, but that's what you all feel. It's almost like by looking beyond this point, the force is being shredded from you as you do so. But it is not painful enough to stop you all from beholding, first of all, a large amount of an alien race that is completely unfamiliar to you. They stand just a bit taller than a human being, but they are encased in terrifying black bone armor with spikes jutting from basically everywhere. They have horrendous scarred skin with yellowed eyes and pointed teeth. For those of you familiar with the Star Wars lore, in particular the expanded universe, what you see currently is the world ship of the Yuzon Vong, a terrifying extragalactic force that is capable of killing trillions. And it appears to be on its way, shrouded by the power of the dark side. Now, unfortunately, none of you will know what a Yuzon Vong is, but that's what they are. Essentially, that's what you're seeing. And aboard there is indeed a presence, a magnificent dark side power.
Kai would be doubly resolved, I think. Based on appearance of this race, it's clear that they're warlike and they're tied to the dark side. And he's always one for action, so I think he would be more determined than ever to like try and contact as many of the governments that we can to like do something about this as quickly as possible.
Why not strike on it with the Nexus now while we've succeeded at all these preceding rolls?
Yeah, we
Like,
could,
surely the Nexus is more powerful than any fleet we can muster.
could try.
By all means, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I would yield to this
Try 'em.
temptation.
Yeah, I'm going to use my force dice and encourage you all to do the same.
What's the goal?
Yeah, what are you
To
trying
do
to
as
do?
much damage and discord to the enemy as possible using our force planet.
Yeah, crack it in half or something if we can.
Yeah, destroy them. Force virulence.
Okay, let's use a force die.
Rolling for 18 times 2, 36 for me.
36. 44. From Kai.
Yes.
Yes. There you go, Thule. 6 on that destiny die.
My goodness, it's an immense amount of power, and the call to use this ship to wreak devastation upon the world ship that approaches from across one side of the galaxy to beyond it, your power is combined into an event in the Force. Let's not lie, this is an event within the Force, this happening. There is a bridge connected between you and the world ship, and you sense discourse immediately aboard the vessel, and it's almost like a wave has hit it in one of its sides. The vessel appears to, well, it doesn't rock because it's the size of a planet, but it certainly reverberates with the strike that you make against it. I would like you all to make sense. Hang on, let me see, because I need to. This is actually a response now, and I need to check something on the character sheets. Yep, so I would like you all to make sense checks, please. I imagine, and you can use your destiny your die to do this if you wish.
What are we
Please bear in
sensing
mind-
for? Because I've got Force die left.
You're actually defending yourself.
Oh yeah, well then I'll definitely use it then.
Okay. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Then please re-roll if you'd rather. Yeah, that's fine.
I thought it was to notice something, and I was like,
No,
I'm not very
I
sensible,
wasn't.
so I'm not going to
wasn't.
bother rolling.
I wasn't
Not
clear
gonna
then. That was
roll
my bad. My bad. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. So Thul, are you keeping your original result? Because the last result I see from you is a 19.
Yeah, I'm out of destiny points. I spent all 3.
Thul, Kai, and Rannon, you find that the pressure created across this bridge begins to reverberate back at you. The three of you are hurled into the air, breaking your concentration and smashing you against each of the walls. Beza, you stand alone, holding against the world ship. But you weren't shaken off. So if you like, you can do something else.
Do I get the sense that anything we did made a difference besides piss them off?
You've definitely done something. It's really hard to tell, but they clearly struck back as sort of like a reactive, like they just took a hit, so they fired one back at you, basically.
I am also now out of force points. I don't know if I could actually do anything to them now.
Okay, so as you're struggling to maintain this bridge, then Beza, I will allow you to glimpse something aboard the ship. If there's anything in particular that you would like to have a chance of glimpsing, then say, and that'll be like the final thing, the final bit of information you can get before you're thrown back.
I want to know what powers it.
What powers it?
Yes.
Okay. You focus and you feel like your feet are digging into the ground. Such is the pressure that is upon you. You see stars whirling past your eyes, Beza, as you feel like you're. Well, I say like feeling. You are 100% having an out of body experience. Your consciousness is leaping across the galaxy, and you begin to understand why it is so dangerous to reach so far with the Force, to push so far with the Force. There is only so much a physical body can manage, but you sense that this thing, whatever it is, the life force, as corrupt and disgusting as it is, as alien and strange it is appearing to power itself. This thing is a living ship, and pain is what drives it forward. Pain. And pain you feel as blood rushes to your head, Beza.
I will disconnect from the Nexus.
And you disconnect rapidly, flying back across the chamber, smashing into the wall and sinking to the ground. So the dust settles.
I think that stunned silence is like, I think probably everybody takes inventory and the ringing in the ears stops. Beza is like almost certainly like bleeding from one or both ears at this point. And she'll look around to see how Thule, Kai, and Ranan are.
Kai will stand and like wipe some blood from his nose, and like squeeze his eyes shut and then open them, and then just like sit back down, I think, in shock.
Yeah, and similar kind of disorientation, full blood leaking from both of his mouths, stands. His mind drifts back to the moment he saw the destruction of Ithor, the obliteration of it. And now it wasn't weapons, but this thing swallowing it up.
The what is very disturbing to you is that they're almost, while the whole situation radiates with the dark side of the Force, the ship itself seems to be resistant to the powers of the Force, but clearly not invincible to it, as you did it some sizable damage.
We are not powerful enough.
No, we need fleets. And we need to do this again tomorrow and the day after that and every day. If we're to stop it, slow it.
It's alive.
I can die.
It hates.
It is powered through pain.
Make the Chiss seem
Insignificant.
yes. We need to speak with the Republic and with the Chiss.
And with the Grisk.
And with the Grisk. There is a common enemy, which has often been a unifying factor.
Mm-hmm.
An alliance.
How should we intervene then? Oh, you go, sorry.
An alliance now between the Republic and the Chiss could mean that when this war is over, the things are looked upon more favorably. I don't know, but that is a concern for another time. This is more pressing. We bring warning of this to the Chiss and to the Republic and the Grisk, if we can find them. Well, the Grisk will know. But that without banding together, there can be no hope of victory against these things.
Why do we wait? Let us summon Dari. Maybe she knows of this thing.
Yes.
We should go to her.
I know where she'll be.
Yeah, deep within a cave from far across the plains of Tython, Dari hops from one stone pillar to another above a dangerous drop. She's been excavating down paths that Rannan had directed her towards. And as you reach out to sense her presence, you see in her mind's eye for a moment as she stops short, looking into an offshoot of this cave. And within, Dari beholds a number of beautiful, colorful crystals that appear to grow from the ground itself. These crystals are familiar to you. She's staring at them with disbelief in her eyes. And she's reaching out to take a crystal. And then you see her moving back towards the temple. The journey is long and arduous. And eventually, after a number of days, she has returned. It seems that this transgression against the Yuzan Vong did indeed take a number of days, because I just like that idea. So I think after a couple of days, Dari would have returned and realized that you guys were still locked in this struggle against this ship. So has been waiting for your emergence from the sealed chamber. So on her summons, she comes to you.
Dari, your people have contact with the Grist? Grisk?
Her face drops as you say this. Contact. We've been at war for centuries. If you could call that contact. And you note there is a very bitter note in her voice when discussing the Grisk.
And what about what chases them?
It's as I told you before, the far outsiders.
Have you encountered them?
No, they are only whispered of. But we know that they're coming. They've always been coming.
Your order in the Chiss, what was its role?
The third sight, it was created so the Chiss may cling to what remains of the Force that they could. As I told you, our reflexes are heightened and we are exceptional when utilizing those gifts in combat. But that's all it extends to.
The third sight is not preparing to face the far outsiders?
They are. But to what extent, I do not know. I just followed orders.
Who's master of the third eye, third sight?
I will get the name. Talk about itself. It's a big doc. I've got it somewhere.
Also, he would ask, like, how are the Chiss governed? Is it like a king, an emperor, or is it a senate, or?
So what we already know, the Chiss is the ascendancy, and they are ruled by something known as the aristocra, which are a number of ruling families of the ascendancy.
So it's like an oligarchy or like a Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, effectively, yeah.
An aristocracy.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Aristocra. That's right. So this is the leader of Third Sight is a Chiss named Quay Nar. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. So we need to contact this person. Because if anyone's going to know anything about these people, it's going to be this person. I think that's probably like one of the priorities is contact these people, arrange a meeting between, like you were saying in the chat there, like between the Grisk Republic and the Chiss, and we can mediate it, like guarantee peace. I know the Chiss have been warring against the Grisk for centuries, so it's unlikely they're going to be keen about the idea, but maybe in the face of extinction, galactic extinction, they might change their minds.
From all that Darius described to you, and in fact, Rannan knew of the legends of the Grisk because of connections with the First Order originally and things like that. They were known as savages, warriors that attack in barbarian-esque fashions, but in Star Wars.
That's what they always
yeah,
say.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what they always say. So you don't know for sure, but that's what the Chiss think anyway.
So then Kai would turn to the others and say, we need to gather as many people as quickly as possible for a summit.
Where will it be held?
Where can we guarantee peace?
Somewhere neutral.
Here?
No.
They can only come here with our guidance.
Perhaps we should reach out to them individually. Test their willingness.
We should do that first. Is Coruscant gone, Rob?
No, and actually that's a point of contention. Pardon me. Anyone who would have followed the follows news on the Holonet or whatever would know that Coruscant has not actually been made part of the galactic election cycle. Basically, the planet changes where the New Republic is governed from. So currently it's Chandrila, but Coruscant is no longer under consideration, and that has brought fury to many. Creating there's a Homeward initiative, which is all about bringing governance back to Coruscant.
God, I hate the galaxy so much.
It's basically Star Wars Brexit.
Yeah.
Coruscant. Yeah. Basically, that's what's happening.
I think our best bet is to contact the Chiss now and tell them of a meeting place, maybe somewhere like Coruscant then, if it's neutral. And we go to the Republic now, and we try to let's try and contact the Grisk first. I don't want to touch the thing again, the Nexus again, but it might be our only way to contact the Grisk.
We asked Dari, how could we contact them?
She sort of looks hopelessly, having never been asked this question before, ever how to contact your sworn enemies. She sort of shrugs and thinks perhaps the Admiral, Mithara Dawn, might be able to do something. We could reach out to her. She listens to you. In fact, I think she's probably the only Chiss Barmy that will.
Let's try and speak with her then. So if we get on a ship and we go to Chandrila and we holo speak with the Admiral on the way there, is that the most efficient way to do it?
Yeah, because then I suppose you could message from there and you won't be tracing, they won't trace you back to Rusan or anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, Typhon.
Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I think we should do
I
it.
think so.
Okay. So then that would be the plan, I think.
Yeah. So in that case, preparations begin immediately to chart a course to Chandrila. Dari, who has been in this conversation, instinctively looks to you and says, "Am I coming with you this time, or must I continue to contemplate underground?"
You can contemplate on the way.
She goes to give you a frown, but can't help to allow a smile. She's happy at the idea of getting to go on a journey with you all. And happy, she runs to her quarters to gather her things. And so, is there anything in particular that you wish to do, or do you just want to just jump in the ship, off you go? I imagine your usual protocol is sending a probe before you.
Yep, one on Tython, one before us, and one on the ship to deploy as we need.
Yep, perfect. So Alexi sets to that, ensuring a probe remains here on Tython, one before you, and one will remain attached to the ship. Is there anything else before you depart the planet? Any final long lingering looks?
I think that Kai is like concerned about the Nexus, and has been sort of like physically hurt by it, but also like spiritually like hurt by it. It's like a pretty intense thing to go through, I think, and the whole civilization seems pretty awful. And frightening, I think. So he's struggling with that, but is trying to busy himself with work, which is his usual go-to.
Yeah, this is I mean, you can speak commonly of aliens within the Star Wars galaxy, but these are the most alien of aliens. They are from a different place entirely and serve different rules and different laws. And that does trouble you greatly. What also troubles you all is the feeling of what it's like to be outside of your bodies. You've been able to achieve this with the Force before, but to project across such a distance, that weighs heavily upon all of you as you jump on board the Edict. It isn't long before Alexi has typed in the correct navigational coordinates to make a few jumps. I imagine we're using the same pattern, so you jump to a few different places before going to Chandrila. Yep. And so the Edict lifts into the air, wheeling about, and the afterburners thrust with energy, and you break orbit. And Chandrila is your destination. The stars elongate, and you jump into hyperspace. And as you do so, it is almost like a dark shroud falls across those elongated stars, blinking out one at a time as far away. The ultimate menace of the galaxy draws ever closer. And I think that's probably where it will be best to leave for tonight. So thank you ever so much to my wonderful players. That was excellent. I do apologize about my Wi-Fi, but it can't be helped. And thank you for those who watched now and after the fact. And I hope that all of your performances are up to standard.